Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Here we go. Let's get a quick mic check, an audio check, a video check. Is everything okay? Do we have any issues with the live stream, or are we set to go? Another big one in the market today, because Bitcoin ended up dumping down even lower, which was very easy to predict. I can't even take, you know how much I love taking credit for it, but this was very easy to predict. And this turned out to be just a very short-lived little rising wedge in the market until we ended up trading downwards. That's, broadly speaking, what I was talking about in the last video, where I actually outlined that we were probably in a bear flag with this over here, just a bit of a consolidation period before the price dips lower. In this case, we actually pumped up a little bit, but then obviously the bears are majority in control of this market right now. They've got the overwhelming control of the market, and that has meant that the bears stepped right in and seized control of the market and then kept things running lower. So I think we're having an issue with the live stream today. Are we all okay, or is there an issue? I don't see anything in the chat. Okay, good. All right, we're fine. And Bitcoin ended up dumping a little bit lower. It did drop below $30,000. So this was pretty easy to predict as well. Look, this is really important. We need to go step by step here. Everyone hit that like button. Shout out to Dave for asking everyone to do that. Thank you very much. It was very easy to say that Bitcoin will probably plunge below $30,000 because we already tested this support level a lot of times, right? So we already made this camel weak. Remember, we were talking about that really stupid camel analogy in the last video, in the last live stream. And actually, I mean, we kept on testing it, but we only used it once as resistance. So we knew that this would be a weak level, and actually we couldn't even get one bounce off this level. We ended up plunging right below it, but that's okay. All of this is obviously still a minor support zone. And so Bitcoin did end up getting a bounce. And the next thing that I mentioned is that I'd really be very interested in seeing Bitcoin bounce off this level and then come up to these kind of areas to find some resistance. And that looks to be what we're doing right now. What we're seeing right now in this chart is, in my opinion, yet another dead cat bounce. And for those of you who don't know what a dead cat bounce is, it is where the trend is overwhelmingly bearish, but we get quick bounces, which are just reaction rallies. They're just, you know, relief rallies. It's just something where the market ends up potentially taking a little bit of a pump up just to, you know, just to freshen things up a little bit, to be honest, and then the market keeps trading downwards. So a dead cat bounce, right? You know, bounces, cats, they're good on their feet and things like that, but this one's dead. So it's like just rising from the grave temporarily and then going back to die. That's kind of what I think Bitcoin is doing right now. We've already had a few dead cat bounces, right? We get these quite often. Here's another one that we had on this chart right here. We've been in a short-term downtrend since we hit $42,000 two or 3 weeks ago, and Bitcoin ended up having a dead cat bounce all the way up to 40K, where we got rejected at resistance. This is actually something else we were talking about on the channel. So once again, yet another example of regular subscribers watching this channel. You would have known that this was potentially a risk. I still actually thought that Bitcoin would break out, but I did mention this was entirely possible. And so if you were a viewer of the channel back then, I'm sure many of you were, and you would have known exactly what was going on here. We did end up plunging below these support levels now, and like I said, I think we're in another dead cat bounce right now. And there's a few different ways I can evaluate that. The main one is just for me looking at this trend overall. And what we're getting pretty clearly across the board right now is, you know, old areas of support turning into new areas of resistance. This is actually a very useful chart, so I'm going to demonstrate this to you on Gemini. I'm just going to draw a couple more horizontal lines to prove this point for you very clearly, and once you see this, you won't unsee this. This is the way a FORFLIES trained analyst will spot the market making moves instantly. There we go. I can't click today. I can't do it. No, I'm sorry. This is how we'll end up doing it, and essentially, look, we're finding support at some of these levels. I'm going to break it down with every single line. We found a little bit of resistance here. We found support here. And then when we dumped below this level, it turned into resistance, right? A previous area of support turned into a new area of resistance. We saw it happening again over here. Look, we bounced off this level a few times. Then we started finding resistance at these 2 points as well. So we were finding support off these levels. Then we started finding resistance. So again, support to resistance flips. Right over here, we actually didn't really find support. So we found a little bit here and a little bit here, and then later on this very same line became resistance as well. Yet another support to resistance flip. This one pretty easy. A lot of bounces happening around this range, and we haven't actually come up to test this one yet. So this is the question. Are we going to come back up to this level and get another support to resistance flip? We've already been getting them, and we've had quite a few now. I've shown you 1, 2, 3 lines where Bitcoin has turned old areas of support into new areas of resistance, and essentially, you know, without trying to complicate this even more, these are bearish signs. This is showing us that areas which we've also been finding to be very useful as support have actually become quite detrimental as resistance. And so that can throw Bitcoin off, it can send Bitcoin lower, and that does tell us that we're not in a completely healthy trend right now. So I think that's really important to keep in mind. What that means for now, though, is that each of these little rallies, they could turn out to be reaction rallies. They could turn out to be dead cat bounces, purely because, as I've just outlined to you, the market is weak, right? We are turning old areas of resistance, old areas of support into new areas of resistance. And so with the market being a little bit weak, it does, I think, increase the possibility of this right now, same as this, it does increase the possibility of these patterns being dead cat bounces, which means they're not sustained recoveries and they're not going to drive the market higher. There is more evidence of this, right? It's not just me saying this, it's not just my biases, which obviously I have very strong biases in this market because I'm getting ready to trade. There's also the volume. There was basically no buy volume that came in on this pump. Look at this, right here, a little bit, but completely shadowed by the bears. Look at this. This is how much volume the bears produced. This is how much volume the bulls produced, right? I mean, not even half of what the bears did, not even like 30% even. Bulls very, very weak, and the next candle having basically no volume, although it did just gap upwards. Let's see how this looks on different exchanges with more accurate volume reporting. Coinbase actually looks a little bit more accurate here. We still, though, on Coinbase, we didn't get as much green volume as we did red volume, and then immediately afterwards, the majority, the bulk of this recovery upwards has been done on very low volume. Usually, this doesn't really mean much in my opinion. This is usually, at best, just a neutral indicator, right? This is a bearish sign, but at best it's usually just neutral in my opinion, because volume is not a reliable metric, in my opinion, in technical analysis. However, in a market right now that is constantly flipping old areas of support into new areas of resistance and showing us all of those kind of signs, we do definitely have, I think, a lot of information here to tell us that a neutral sign is going to have a little bit more weight on this market if it's bearish. And so this is where occasionally you guys will hear me saying that in a very bullish market, neutral signs are bullish to me. In a very bearish market, neutral signs are bearish to me. And I think that's really, really important, because if we keep in mind, you know, how to shift our biases, that's what allows us to potentially side with the market in the right ways. And so I'll talk to you a little bit about the kind of trades I want to make in just a minute. But for now, I think those are some really, really important points telling me that I don't think this bounce is going to sustain. We're seeing weakness during the bounce. We're seeing weakness before the bounce. And the next key metric to evaluate if we are actually going to have a sustained uptrend from here is, did we bounce off an important level? And we did. I mean, you know, we wicked below 30k, but we still, broadly speaking, bounced off the $30,000 level. So yeah, you know, we bounced off a relatively important level. It's a psychological support area, and so it has that going for it. But I don't think that this was special enough. I do think that coming down to a level like 27, coming down to a level like 24, or even down to 20, these levels would have been more significant, and I think that that would have allowed more people to really get quite excited about this trend and buy it up with a lot more aggression. And so that's another reason, you know, I'll look at how did the dump happen, in what context did the dump happen. So it happened, sorry, how did the pump happen, how did the recovery happen? It happened in a weak way. In what context did it happen? In a very weak overall market that keeps flipping support into resistance. And how did and where did we bounce? Was it a significant bounce some? Because that can tell us if the bounce is going to stick as well. You know, we've got some really good examples of this. I showed you a very good one in the last live stream. So those of you who were watching the last live stream, we're dropping absolute gold in these videos every single day, so you really are missing out on a lot if you weren't tuning in for these. But what I showed you in the last live stream is I showed you in a very, very clear way why we had so much support down here in this area, and so why it made complete sense that we fell down to this area and then moved on upwards. Now actually, during this time, if you were watching the channel, I thought we were going to dump lower at this point, so I was 100% incorrect about this. But in hindsight, it's very, very clear, and you know, I can extract those lessons to what we have right now, because carrying out good technical analysis is all about making sure that you are learning from your mistakes, and that's something that most people don't do. But right here, it made a lot of sense that Bitcoin bounced off this zone because we had a lot of support in this area. This was a very significant bounce zone, and so that's why we had a sustained trend upwards after this. So those are some key metrics that I'm using to ask myself, is this going to be a sustained recovery? And from there, where can we go? Because this is a dead cat bounce, and it still happened off a key psychological area, so hopefully we do get a big bounce. And the key areas I was talking to you about in the last live stream, we're up to 900 viewers today. Let's shoot up those likes. Absolutely love your support over these live streams. That's why I had to do another one today. I didn't even want to do a live stream today. I had so many things going on, but I was very, very keen on doing it just because performance has been so good with you guys lately. You've been showing so much love, so I just had to do it. But this was potentially, like, in this direction was the kind of bounce zone I was looking for, potentially up to 34 to 35, 35.5 being the max, 34.4, somewhere around there. I should actually draw this as a box, which I did do in the last video as well, showing some sort of resistance around these key areas. If I actually draw it as a box to make it more clear, we're looking at kind of, a box stretching somewhere around these levels, right? And this could potentially be an area of resistance for Bitcoin. And I think that would make a lot of sense. It lines up with our Ichimoku clouds. Let's take a look at it on the 1 hour time frame. Actually, resistance is a lot lower on the 1 hour time frame. However, on the 4 hour time frame, we have now developed a very, very clean little area, very little, I should say, but still an area of resistance right here on the 4 hour time frame. And so if we do end up slowly carrying on upwards over the next 5 days, I don't think this is going to take 5 days. The trend is moving really quickly, but if it did end up happening over the next 5 days, we would start to encounter resistance over here. And I'm sure we're already seeing that on the moving averages. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, right there, our momentum in this market has now shifted and flipped to become bearish, and that has meant that Bitcoin is potentially traveling into this new resistance area as well. So knowing now why I believe this is a dead cat bounce, something that's not going to sustain itself in the market, something that's not going to stick around, I think that's definitely showing us that we could travel a little bit higher, but it could absolutely turn into something that rejects Bitcoin once again, and we end up traveling downwards again. So those are some really, really key points to keep in mind within this analysis as well. Let me just take a look at some other key things I wanted to mention with my notes. Yeah, my analyst pointing out the same things. He keeps on telling me about the support resistance flips. We do analysis in exactly the same way. Me and my lead analyst, we're exactly the same. And so I haven't even looked at his notes yet, but he's saying the same things as me. The key things where we are now seeing that the short-term trend has very much shifted into a bearish trend, but it's to be expected. It's going to happen within these trends. Another big pattern that I'm actually seeing on this market. Let me see if I can use a different chart because I don't want to keep drawing over my existing drawings. Another key pattern that I am seeing in this market right now, because I am overall very bullish on this market. Obviously, it's a bloody exponential bullish rally, and I'd be a fool if I wasn't bullish on this right now. But what we do have right now in this market is also potentially a macro size falling wedge, which would be very, very bullish in the market. Again, for those of you who are new to the channel, this just forms the typical kind of staircase pattern that you see in stock market images. If you Google them, where we end up trading upwards with the trend, then we trade downwards for a brief period of time, then we continue the trend upwards, then we trade downwards for a brief period of time, then we continue upwards. And so we've had a little bit of that already. It comes in different shapes and different sizes. Sometimes we will get big falling wedges like this. Other times we'll get small ones. Look at this, right? If I zoom in, switch it over to the 1 hour time frame, we had a small one right over here, which was exactly the same pattern that we have right now. It was a little bit less steep, but it was very, very much the same thing, where the trend was moving on upwards, then we were fighting the trend and trading downwards a little bit, and then we continued on upwards right after that. And so this was just what's called just a very brief continuation pattern. And we do sometimes have some really, really weird comments. One guy saying you're a fool to think that this is a bull market. This is definitely a bull market. We've just done like 2x from the all-time high. I don't know like how you could call this anything else, but we definitely have on a smaller time frame right here a falling wedge, and now repeating it on a larger time frame. And once again, if you're a regular viewer of this channel, you'll know how I love to point out characteristics of the trend when Bitcoin actually ends up repeating the same characteristics but on different time frames. And we're definitely seeing some of that happening within this trend trend already, one of the key characteristics that Bitcoin had up until this point throughout this trend was that it wasn't retracing, right? It would actually, if the trend needed to cool down, if we needed to consolidate in some way, we would just consolidate sideways. We've been doing that all throughout this trend. We did it over here. We did it, let's switch it onto the logarithmic chart. We did it, like we traded sideways here. We didn't retrace. This was hardly anything. We just traded sideways, then we moved up to correct. We only traded sideways throughout this trend. Look at this, another sideways trading range. Over here, sideways but leaning upwards. Over here, another sideways move. Every time the trend had to correct, we never had major price corrections up until this one we're in right now, which is very, very good. Like it's good that we're switching it up, but that was a key characteristic of the trend. And so if you were aware of that, you would have been able to position yourself to profit from these moves really, really well. If you were aware of the fact that, every trend needs to correct, but some trends correct in different ways. In fact, every trend corrects in different ways. And the key characteristic of Bitcoin's trend up until what we're in right now was that it only corrected by mainly trading sideways. Yes, we did still dump down a little bit, but they were never big dumps, right? This was a big dump right now. If we measure this from high all the way to low, let's do this right now live on video, we ended up dumping down by about 31% so far, which is a pretty sizable dump. I mean, this is comparable to what some developing economies suffered throughout 2020 and things like that. This is very, very bad. And we did it within only about 16 days, right? So this is a pretty steep price correction that we're seeing on Bitcoin right now. But previously, the biggest correction we got was only about 17% over here, and this one was only about 10%. And so we weren't really seeing steep price corrections throughout this trend. And once again, we put this in the trading context because I am a trader, and so this is very important to me. What that looks like as a trader is I'm then able to see that, all right, we've traded sideways, for example. This is a really, really good example right here. I was able to see during this point when Bitcoin was trading sideways at 24 that like the characteristic of this trend is to just trade sideways and then break out. And so I was able to that's the way the price corrects. It corrects by trading forward in time, not by trading downwards. And so we already had this at this point, and that's actually what enabled me at this point to enter a long position somewhere around here, right where my pink line is at the moment. And the idea was that if Bitcoin rose up to this level, I would enter a long position with something like 10 times leverage, which is exactly what I did and absolutely slayed the markets. I ended up running this position all the way up to around 28,000. So this was only a $4,000 gap. This was really, really small compared to what the trend did overall, but this was still an absolutely massive, nearly 4 times gain for me because I was trading it on leverage. And so it's just spotting little things like that and then being able to put myself in the right place at the right time because I'm aware of these characteristics. That's what enabled me to book some really, really nice profits in this trend. And a lot of people ask me, Sammy, why did you close the position so quickly? You could have made so much money. I was actually explaining this to a company that I might work with for some YouTube promotion and things. They're absolutely amazing. I'm actually going to be investing a really big sum with them. Really, really love what they're doing. And I was explaining to them why I do this because these guys are ex-fund managers and things like that. So they know exactly what it's like. And it's that I'm really, really happy to sacrifice gains and just trade this kind of range. I'm really happy to sacrifice what happens afterwards because everything that happens afterwards is not guaranteed. But over here, when I was in a 380% profit, that 380% profit was guaranteed. It was absolutely guaranteed that I would have that money if I closed right then and there. And so I did it because taking profits never made a man poor. And my idea with these things is I made another 385% profit just a week or two before I made this trade, right? I don't know, not a week, maybe a month before, because I traded Bitcoin from $12,000 all the way up to $17,000 over here. Again, a $5,000 range, 385% profit. And it's the exact same thing. I compounded this 4 times gain with this 4 times gain, and you can very, very quickly see if you throw these numbers in a calculator, it becomes fucking massive. These gains become unbelievable when you compound them. And so the gains are really, really good, and I'm able to lock these in by exercising good trading management. So this is an example where if you have a pulse on your analysis and you know what characteristics to look out for, and you top that off with discipline so that you close your profits and you don't get scared of, oh, but it might triple more and it might get, I might have 10 times more profit if I just leave the position. That's greed talking, right? I'm after repeating the same good trading habits over and over and over and still closing really, really nice profits when I get them. I have no fear in doing that. I'm absolutely fine to close out a position with this kind of gap and then just re-enter positions later on, because you already know that I continue to make profits on this trend again. Obviously, I did suffer some small losses as well, completely part of the game. And so I'm very, very happy with that. You win a lot, you give some back to the market. Completely normal. And having that kind of trading sense is very, very important. And obviously in a market like this, it gets increasingly more difficult. But, the team and I, we've been around, we've seen this stuff. Like I said, I've been comparing this a lot to what happened in 2017. So none of this is coming off as confusing or intimidating for me with this trend. It's all quite things that we're used to. That's why we're very quickly able to say we're going to fall below these levels. That happened just a piece of cake. It was very, very easy to make that analysis, and basically everyone was saying it, to be fair. And the other thing I mentioned in that video is when everyone is in agreement about something, that thing happens, right? And this is what a lot of people struggle to get their head around, right? Everyone wants to be contrarian. It's very fun. It's very sexy. Let's shoot up those likes, guys. We're at 1,100 viewers. Let's get some more likes on this video. It really does help with the algorithm. Planning to go for another hour or so with you guys, so let's make the algorithm love the video too. Really do appreciate your support once again. But we're able to see these things because we've been around in the game for quite a long time, and so we've lived through them. We've suffered the issues that they bring, and we've enjoyed the rewards that they bring as well. And that's why like going back to the point of, when everyone's in agreement about something, we're able to see very quickly that that one thing will happen. And that's just because nobody is standing in front of the moving train. So this train plummets, and it plummets really, really quickly. Same on the way up. Everyone is in agreement. Everyone was in agreement that after $20,000 right here, Bitcoin is probably going to skyrocket. So it did, because nobody wanted to sell. And this is another very, very important thing to keep in mind. Like all of this price action, Bitcoin moving up, this does not necessarily mean that a lot of Bitcoin is being bought. It's actually probably going to surprise a lot of you. It's way less Bitcoin than you think is being bought. It's just that nobody wants to sell Bitcoin. And if nobody wants to sell Bitcoin, the price can go up very quickly, because the last price sold will keep going higher. But the last price sold could just be for $1, right? This is to say, you could just sell $10 worth of Bitcoin at 60K US, and that would be the price of Bitcoin now. That would be the new last price of Bitcoin. And that means, it's very misleading, just rocketing upwards does not mean that a lot of people are buying. It just means that nobody's selling. And there you have a supply-demand issue, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the market is liquid. If that stuff doesn't make sense to you, that's completely fine. It's not hugely important, but if it does make sense to you, then hopefully that kind of unclouds a little bit of what's going on here. But right here, going back to the point of trading, these little gaps, I'm very, very happy to trade them and close my positions quite early on, because the gains are still good. And I still want to make more gains in the future. And I want to keep my money safe so that I have the money to make those gains as well. So some very, very key points, and VIP members have been able to tap into that completely. This guy here making a big 51% profit in quite a narrow range. Another member over here making a massive 110% profit, again in quite a narrow range, trading just a $4,000 gap, just 10%. So this is probably with 10 times leverage, trading a relatively small gap, probably a little bit more than 10 times. I'm guessing this was about 12 times profit, 12 times leverage, making a bunch of profitable trades in the last month. But this member, and this is really funny to me, it's also, I don't want to make VIP members feel pressured, because I know I show like super impressive screenshots every single day, but this guy did get a little bit nervous about sharing some screenshots with me, because he didn't feel they were worthy until he made the really big profit here. But this is still really cool, and this is the reason we're able to do it, because we're looking for these safe opportunities to get in and then get out of the market. We want to be able to book profits and book them safely, right? This guy over here, I was also telling this company I met with today the same thing about this guy. This guy made like a $5,000 to $6,000 profit on one trade, and he's disappointed by it, right? That's what failure looks like to this guy inside of VIP. His first trade since joining FORFLIES Academy, since joining VIP in conjunction with the Academy. So if you're interested in both, by the way, message me. My assistant is here right now. I've already seen one of your messages have just come in. My assistant is here right now, and he'll give you all the information on VIP and the Academy. But this guy able to make a very nice profit, and most importantly, in my opinion, doing it safely, right? He's taking risk off the table early. He's moved his stop loss into a tight area. He's doing everything exactly as you would if you were trading safely and still making really, really good gains. That's exactly what it comes down to for me, because it's not like when you're trading, it's not just about what's idealistic and what's exciting. Like as a real trader, you will suffer serious consequences if you don't take risk management seriously. And that's something I obviously had to learn the hard way, so I'm extremely religious about it now. That's why sometimes you'll see me taking profits at completely illogical levels, and I'll just take profits. This is slightly immature, I get it, you know, like I could be a more methodical trader when it comes to this, but I will take profits sometimes just because I feel like it, in respect to the old me that didn't do it. You know, out of respect for the mistakes I made in the past, I would take profits out of principle. And you know, like I say this out loud, and it's very clear this is because I'm kind of scarred by the mistakes I used to make. Like I was a terrible gambler in trading before. I was really bad at it. You know, traders go through extremes. If you are really bad, you're probably going to turn out really good if you stick around. You know, like that's just how it goes in trading. It's an extreme game. You go from one extreme to another. And so I was doing that as well. And just out of respect for those kind of things, that's usually how I end up, you know, taking profits really quickly. But again, when you're trading these kind of moves on leverage, they can very quickly turn into really impressive profits. So it doesn't even matter. So this guy over here, you know, absolutely killing it, plus 51% profit. Once again, plus 110, plus 75, plus 58%. So if you want to see how these VIP members have been able to kill the market, and also I'm planning on making my next trade very soon on Ethereum. I'm going to talk about Ethereum in just a second. I have some very interesting plans with Ethereum. If you want to see what's going on over there, then you can follow these steps on screen right now. It will take you less than 30 seconds. So just pause the live stream, follow these steps on screen, and ask me how to join VIP. It's completely free, no downloads required, no signups required either. VIP is not free, but the steps to join are free, and we'll give you all the information about it. So there you go. But I want to switch it back to Ethereum really quickly, sorry, back to Bitcoin really quickly, because we are looking right now, like I said, for those of you just tuning in, at a potential dead cat bounce over here, hopefully rising up to some of these key resistance areas and then coming right back down. I think the trend still has some juice to do that. And actually, if we switch it over to Ethereum, I think we do have some real potential for Ethereum to do exactly the same thing. Earlier today, Ethereum ended up, let's switch this over to the 15-minute time frame just to make this really clear. Ethereum ended up dumping below the support line. I drew the support line yesterday. Ethereum ended up dumping below the support line earlier today, and we came back up to test it as a new area of resistance. Look, we used it as support here, it became resistance over here, but then actually this level clearly isn't very important because we tested it again, we got a small rejection, and then Ethereum broke out. Ethereum broke upwards, but the issue here is it only broke into a new area of resistance, and I don't think that Ethereum is super strong here. So what we got here again, I think, was very clearly yet another dead cat bounce. I don't see it happening with big volume. I don't see a big amount of volume here, which means there's not much follow through, and I think that that could be, again, you know, traders are just not broadly interested in here. You're going to get a lot of traders selling out of fear. Oh, look, we dropped a lot. This is what they'd be saying. Oh, we hit an all-time high, then we dropped a lot. Now we're back up. I'm going to take some profits over here. And then Ethereum ends up potentially dropping down again, because guys, the thing we need to keep in mind, and it's the same thing I mentioned in the last live stream, is that in these markets, you know, people will only buy these assets if they're already going up and it looks really sexy. We're only here to make money. We're not here because we love the technology and things like that. Some of us are, but the majority are not. And so you need to be very clear about that, and you need to understand that and internalize that, because that is what will enable you to trade these markets safely. And you know, you'll see very quickly in these kind of circumstances that people only want to buy these coins if they're actually already pumping upwards. And right now Ethereum is in a bit of a downtrend, and that means when your reason to buy is so shallow, you're also going to be selling quite quickly. This is emotional buying. This is buying based off of fear of missing out, and so emotional buying will bring you emotional selling as well. You can't have one without having the other, and this is one of the key points that I was talking about on the channel quite a lot over the past couple of weeks before this dump happened, where I was saying that this isn't sustainable. We're going to have a big correction soon. It's going to cut deep. It's probably going to last a little bit of time as well, because we haven't been correcting for a long time, you know, like having big corrections for a long time. And so that's probably something that we're going to expect relatively soon. And it may makes a lot of sense because we were having a lot of emotional bias. And I kept saying, even though I was bullish and I was taking on long positions, that's because that's what the trend was telling me. I was telling you guys very, very clearly in very, very clear terms that anyone buying at any price kind of like above $12,000 was buying for bad reasons, in my opinion, right? Like, I'm not saying that it's a bad time to get in. If you're a trader, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if you bought Bitcoin at 40,000 or if you bought Bitcoin at 10,000. Like, that's just a question of pride, and pride doesn't mean shit. And so this isn't about trading, but as an investor, anyone who got in after 12K, they got in at a really bad time, and they only bought in out of a fear of missing out, right? This is super clear. Even, even really, really smart guys like Michael Saylor, everyone wants to suck his dick these days, even applies to him, right? It's just not smart to have bought Bitcoin after levels like $12,000. In fact, the smart time, the correct time to buy Bitcoin was obviously down at, like $3,000 2 years ago, something very, very long ago now. This was obviously the best time to be buying Bitcoin, right? It was a long period of consolidation. There was literal accumulation happening in the market here. And we knew it was accumulation because every time the market peaked up, we ended up getting big rejections, just one guy selling a lot and scaring people shitless. And we knew it was really, really big accumulation. That's actually why at this point, just the day before this pump happened, I entered a long position and told VIP members about it. This is a trade I will never forget. I'm going to be bragging about it on my bloody deathbed to my grandkids because I was so proud of it. Because it was a very, very clear situation where, to be fair, I had a little bit of insider information too. I was talking to big guys who run OTC desks and things like that. And they were telling me like, yeah, the really smart people, the big buyers, they were buying at these kind of levels too. I was telling you guys about it too. So it's not like it was like, this wasn't private insider information. It's just if you had the right ears, you would hear it. But a lot of people were public about it too. These were real buyers who were buying at these levels, very, very smart people, and they were accumulating at these levels. And so I was able to take on a long position on Bitcoin right at this level and write up this huge gain. This was a 360% profit. I still remember this. This is like, what, 2 years later? Yeah, nearly 2 years. I still remember this trade because it worked out so well based off very key principles. Look, it was about telling that we were in an accumulation period. It was seeing, I'm not going to break down why I entered this trade again. I still remember all the reasons, but a lot of you guys have heard this already because I brag about it all the time, but I have to, I'm so proud of this move. And the thing is, this was obviously the smart place to buy. This is where no one is buying out of desperation. Nobody is buying out of a fear of missing out. They're buying it as a solid, sound investment, and obviously they got paid very, very handsomely for it. Anyone buying after these levels, they're buying more based off emotion, which means they're much more subject to sell in a panic. And that's exactly why we've seen really big sell-offs happening very quickly. The first thing that I showed you guys when we got this sell-off was how quickly it happened compared to the uptrend. Nobody wants to talk about this, but I want to outline this to you really, really quickly. Look at this. On the way up, right, this is where we really started trending up. It took us 3 days and 8 hours to rise by 40%. However, it took us 1 day and 12 hours to erase most of that move, right? Let me say that again. To go from, what is this right here? To go from $30,000 up to $42,000, it took us 3.5 days. And to dump from 41,000 down to 30,000, so to have nearly exactly the same move in reverse, moving down, we did it more than 2 times faster, or around 2 times faster. This is to say that we went up slower than we came down, purely because people who were buying at these levels, they were not believers of the trend. They were only buying out of a fear of missing out. And so as soon as that reason to buy with the fear of missing out, oh, Bitcoin's going to the moon, oh, this, that, oh, this, that, whatever, I don't even know what they would say, but based off those emotional buying reasons, they would sell really, really quickly. And that's what allows, that's what kind of brings them to enter these really, really big dumps. And that's why we end up failing supports at these areas as well. We just didn't get a chance to establish resistance over here because people were buying too quickly. They were buying out of desperation. And that's what means we're looking at these really, really big dumps. When it gets bad in these kind of market cycles, it gets really bad and it really, really hurts the market. I'm going to switch it back to Ethereum in just a second. But if we can actually drop some more questions in the comments, I'm gonna drop my tag here. So if you can tag me like this would be a very, very useful little thing for you to do, because it does allow me to make sure that I don't miss your questions. I'm going to start going through them in just a second, but I am going to switch it over to Ethereum one more time, guys. If we can shoot up those likes, we've got 1,200 of you here, same as yesterday. So if we can get those likes super high, I think we had like 700-800 Let me actually check. We had a pretty nice number of likes in the last video, so if we can do something similar again, that would be absolutely amazing. Your support is very, very useful. And actually, while we're doing live streams, your likes have a very, very big influence. Like usually likes don't matter too much on a live stream, but you know, with these kind of live streams, the amount of likes you have will definitely impact, you know, how many people end up watching the video. And obviously it helps the channel out. If this channel grows, I'm putting out more content for you guys, it's more worth my time and things like that. So I'm always looking to add more value. Very, very useful. Yeah, we got 1.5k likes nearly on the last live stream, so if we can do something similar here, that would be much appreciated. Really love you guys and appreciate all the support. That's why I'm doing another one today. I didn't even, like I said, I didn't even want to do a live stream today. I had a lot of things going on, but I had to do it because your love in these live streams have been has been so great to receive. An interesting comment from a guy called Seek First. You lose viewers when you speak negative light on Bitcoin. We all know Bitcoin is going up. Yeah, I know I lose viewers when I say these things, right? Like, these are unpleasant truths. It's like I come to your house, I tell you your wife is ugly, and I tell you your dishes aren't clean, and then I leave. And so, and then it's, yeah, like a lot of people get pissed off and a lot of people don't like it, but that's that's one of the key points about this channel. I'm not scared of pissing people off. I don't necessarily need the support of weak-minded people and things like that. You know, like I am my own trader. I'm completely fine on my own, and keeping it realistic is really important. And I think that's a big deal. You know, like, I'm very realistic about what I'm doing. I'm trading the upside. It's the only side I'm interested in trading for the most part, but I'm still completely aware of the reasons for why this market can crash really quickly, really, like, all of a sudden. And that's a very important thing for me, because if I'm not aware of those things, if I'm kind of blind to those truths, then I will get fucked over by them eventually. You know, like, you can only escape escape reality for so long. And so that's why I'm not scared of saying negative things about Bitcoin. A lot of people don't like it, and those people just don't watch these videos. But obviously this level of realism to me is extremely important, and you guys love it too. You know, like, it's just little guys, like, I mean, it's how should I say, it's just little isolated groups of people like Seek First who don't like it when I say these negative things about Bitcoin. But you know, these elephants are in the room, and if you don't want to pay attention to them, that's on you, that's your problem. But you know, like, my style is very much paying attention to these things, and just at the very least, look, just being aware of it. You know, like, it doesn't mean that I hate Bitcoin. You guys know I still love Bitcoin. I talk about it every fucking day. You know, like, I'm pretty addicted, and so, you know, it's absolutely not like that. But you know, you've got to be aware of it too, because if you're not aware, any realities that you're not aware of, you're just a slave to them, and they're going to keep slapping you around. You're just going to bitch slap you for the rest of your life if you're not aware of them. And so that's a big deal for me. But Ethereum right here, I think definitely hitting some resistance, because if we look at this on the 4-hour time frame, if we even zoom in onto the 1-hour time frame, we have gotten quite a few rejections around this range. Look at this, a lot of rejections around the middle of this month for Ethereum, and then even use this area as support. And most recently, this box has turned into resistance again. And so I do think that this could be a new area of resistance for Ethereum. Well, a renewed area of resistance for Ethereum right here, and I think that could mean Ethereum starts suffering a bit. The only thing for me is that Ethereum is already in this range. We already got rejected once, we traded up, we got rejected again, but we're already climbing back up. So what we're forming right now is actually a very short-term bull flag, which is indicative of the price moving up. And crucially, we already formed a bear flag with this trend right now. Look at this. If I really zoom in, look, we consolidated sideways a bit after moving up, consolidated sideways, then we pumped up again. And so we very much could be doing the same thing right now, which would indicate that Ethereum would have the legs to rise a little bit higher. And actually, that does line up with what Bitcoin is doing, because Bitcoin right now is not at its key support level. Ethereum today has pumped up by 12%, but Bitcoin only up by 6%. So once again, Ethereum having way more strength than Bitcoin in this market. If we compare Ethereum against Bitcoin right now, we can see how Ethereum has gained a lot of strength against Bitcoin over the past couple of days, right? All the way since, well, this is incorrect, all the way since the 18th of January, Ethereum has gained a lot of strength against Bitcoin, and it's keeping that strength. So I think this is really important. And what that means for Bitcoin, what that means for Ethereum, in my opinion, is, you know, like, this market is really only going to see big dumps, I believe, if Bitcoin gets big dumps. And that will probably be when we hit some key resistance areas, and the main one that I see right now is around this green box. If we switch it on to the 4-hour time frame once again, and I show you the Ichimoku cloud, this was previously a very accurate area of support. This was a very, very reliable indicator for support for about 3 or 4 months actually with this trend, so a very, very long time. And if you're a regular viewer, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't already, do make sure you subscribe, because we're talking about really interesting, very, very critical, important tools on this channel. And viewers who were sticking around since when I was talking about this, and I've been talking about this indicator for years, but if you heard what I had to say about this months ago, it would have really, really benefited you. So please definitely subscribe if you haven't already. We just smashed 63,000. I know you guys probably don't care about these numbers, but to me, this really, really excites me. So I have to say it. We just smashed 63,000 subscribers yesterday, and we hit 62 just a couple days before that, already on our way to 64. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe. We're growing pretty well lately, which is absolutely amazing. Obviously, I really, once again, do appreciate the support. That's why I'm jumping on these live streams nearly daily sometimes. And what we have right here is this very, very important indicator actually flipping and turning into resistance. And this is like, you know, when you've got somebody who you really, really respect, who has a very good track record for being correct, suddenly they start saying the opposite of what they were saying. Oh, there's the click. There we go. Doing it correctly now. Suddenly, you know, something you really, really respect starts telling you the opposite of what it used to tell you. And you will listen. You will listen to when that person has to speak, or in this case, you will listen when this indicator turns into resistance, because it was so reliable as support. And this is another thing that, if you don't know much about the Ichimoku cloud, you can actually watch my video on it. If you type this into YouTube, just pause the live stream right now, type this into YouTube, open a new tab, and then come back to the live stream after you've watched that video. You will see how this indicator is really reliable as support, but also as resistance. And so it has turned into a new area of resistance right now. And the other thing that I mentioned in the last live stream is that we now have what's called a confluence. We have multiple indicators showing us that we might encounter resistance at these levels. This Ichimoku cloud, which I've just spent the last 5 minutes basically telling you why I think it's so important, now showing us some resistance in this range, and we've got resistance on the exponential moving average ribbon. This is a show of momentum, showing us that previously momentum was very, very strong for the bulls, and now it's potentially going to be strong for the bears at exactly the same place that I already drew some resistance on this chart. And so once again, we've got more of that confluence. We have multiple unrelated indicators showing us that we might establish resistance at the same place, and that is always something that I have to be very, very aware of, because when we get those kind of confluences, that's where they can get very dangerous. And so we talk about what might happen to Bitcoin here, translate it to Ethereum. I think that definitely means that Bitcoin has some more space to rise up to about $34,000-$35,000, and knowing that Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin by double right now, you know, if we just this is super unscientific, but let's just take a look at this. If Bitcoin rises up into this range, it rises up by 5%. If we double that, that might mean that Ethereum is going up by another 10%, and that would put us very, very roughly at our previous all-time high. And so definitely showing us that Ethereum has some more legs to rise up very nicely, and then potentially get its big rejection, because I definitely think that Bitcoin will get its big rejection. And if Bitcoin gets a big rejection, it's almost always going to drag the rest of the market down with it as well. So some really, really important key points there, analyzing both Bitcoin and Ethereum, and, you know, looking at what the big ship, the one that steers the whole space, what that's going to do, and how that might influence the little ships that are around it as well. Looking at some of your questions now, Lorenzo asking, I think for Bitcoin specifically, what would be a good entry point? So obviously that's a question I can't answer for you, but the interesting entry points for me, the areas where I would be looking at taking on long positions on Bitcoin, will be these 3 green lines right here. Probably just these 2 I would look at. I mean, obviously I would buy if we get down here, but I don't think we're going down to $20,000. I think that's very unlikely. But if we get to $24,000, I think it would make a lot of sense for Bitcoin to find some support around here. If we get to 27.7, I think this is another potential bounce zone. And it doesn't necessarily mean that Bitcoin is going to fall down to this level and then rocket up. It could just mean that Bitcoin is going to get a bounce at this level and then continue on downwards. Same thing could happen at 24,000 as well, and then we end up falling inevitably down to 20K. Like I said, I don't think that's going to happen. That's too good to be true in my opinion, but if it happens, that's absolutely great. It does happen sometimes. We do get the best case scenario sometimes, but for now, those are some of the key areas I'm looking at. I'm talking too much about how it's a definite thing that Bitcoin is going to get rejected, by the way, but obviously it's entirely possible that Bitcoin won't get rejected at this range, and that's why I'm not trading anything on the short side right now. You know, like I don't need to trade everything that I think is going to happen, and that's a key reason for why I've been able to consistently profit in this market. That's a key reason for why VIPs keep doing so well in this market as well, because we're not necessarily trading absolutely everything we see. We don't need to do that. I only trade the things that I'm absolutely 110% sure about, and I have some thoughts on what that might be next. And like I said, I've already informed VIP members about what that is. If I do decide to trade it, if I do decide to commit my dollars to that idea, I will be informing VIP members about it, and I've already given them some information about it earlier today as well. So I do see your messages about VIP. We've just got a new member joining us right now. We're already at 920 members. Yesterday I mentioned we're at 915. It's growing super fast. This is the fastest growth we've ever seen, and obviously you guys definitely benefiting from it as well. So if you want to see how I'm trading in real time, you want to get the details on my next Ethereum trade specifically, then you can join VIP by following these steps on screen. VIP is the place where you can see exactly what I'm trading in real time every time. So some very critical information in there, but there you go. Good entry points. These 3 levels definitely interesting to me. I don't know which one is going to stick. It could be just that Bitcoin blows through this area completely, but I don't think that's likely right now. I think that Bitcoin needs to keep continuing on downwards right now. I don't think we've seen any significant support levels yet, and I think that these 3 areas are those significant support levels, and I showed you a little bit about why in the last live stream as well. So those of you who are regular subscribers, you would have seen that on this channel where I was showing you the VPVR and things like that. There we go. Let's move on to the next question. Do you think Bitcoin will drop to 27k? Okay, yeah, so I've just answered that. Yes, I do, and I think it's quite likely. I certainly hope it happens. Mega Skages, FORFLIES. So can you exchange Bitcoin on the Nano to USDT or just Ethereum? I'm not too sure what you're talking about. FORFLIES, when should I buy ETH? I have some. Should I sell it or for long? I can't tell you what to do with your Ethereum, bro. I'm curious to where would I buy Ethereum? You know, I would probably buy Ethereum at this point if it broke above the all-time high, if it broke above 1450, or if it fell down to some support levels like 990. I think that's another potential buy zone for Ethereum. If this fails, then another buy zone might be this is probably a pretty weak buy zone, but around 880 could be another buy area. The big one for me would be at 700, but you know, again, I don't know if we're going to go down that low. I don't think that's likely. So yeah, we'll see, but I don't think it's likely. How much do you think a minimum investment in Bitcoin should be? I have no idea, Cobra. The nature of investing in Bitcoin is that you can buy like $10 worth of it. You probably can't move $10 worth of Bitcoin right now because the transaction fees are really high. I think like the minimum transaction fee for Bitcoin right now is like $25, $30 or something. It's stupid. I'm probably wrong about that. Don't quote me on that, but transaction fees are really high right now. So you know, like anything above, you know, like $200-300 I think is pretty is good. You know, like that's also nearly serious money, and it's yeah, it absolutely I think does impact you know, how much you can move around your funds and things like that. Joseph, I just lost 20%. Sorry to hear. Should I buy in now to make up some cash on this little way up, or isn't it worth it? I can't, bro. You're asking me for financial advice. I really can't answer that. Jorgen, did I say your name correctly? I think I did. Jorgen? I hope so. I'm going to be really proud of myself. Asking me, did I get my glasses with a time machine? I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult. I really don't know, and I don't know if I want to know either. I've lost your question. Yeah. So another question. FORFLIES, if Bitcoin breaks 32.5, we've just done that. Do you think it can jump again to 39 or 40 before another bounce down? So that's briefly what I outlined. So we just did pass 32.5k. The question is, do I think we can get all the way up here without first getting rejected? The answer to that is no, I don't think so. I think there's pretty heavy resistance here, and I don't think we have a healthy enough mini uptrend right now. So I really think that this is going to lose steam, and we've been seeing that throughout this trend. Our bounces have actually been getting smaller. Let's look at this on a very macro scale right here. Look, this first bounce was pretty big. The second bounce, a lot smaller. The third bounce was a little bit bigger, but still this bounce here was much smaller than this bounce, and then the subsequent bounces after that, very, very small. So obviously it alternates, and some bounces are big, some bounces are small, but I think that we are seeing quite a few signs. You know, there's the big descending triangle that we fell out of earlier today. Like, we shouldn't be wicking this low below a descending triangle. I mean, this is only a couple percentage points, maybe not even 2. Okay, so this is 4 or 5 percentage points actually. So this is quite a big amount to fake out. We have a lot of this was a lot to break down below a descending triangle. We already did it before, although I don't think this was very important. So, but I do think we have quite a few reasons to be cautious around this chart. Obviously, I would love if it breaks through, because I don't have a long position. Sorry, I don't have a short position right now, so I would make a lot of money if we went up. But I don't think it's likely. I think that there's quite a bit of weakness in this market right now, and just imagine what it would look like, how much fear it would induce in the market if we did go back up here and then we got a big rejection down to like 27. I think that would scare a lot of people, because the thing is, we're not moving down by a lot, you know, like 42,000 down to 27,000 isn't really a big deal. It's only a $15,000 move, which right now it isn't going to scare a lot of people, you would think, but it's the combination of moving down and then it's happening over time, right? So if we end up doing this, if we end up hitting this area, and then, you know, like it takes another 3-4 days, and then Bitcoin comes down to the support area, we're now towards the end of January, and I think that would definitely scare a lot of people, because it's the time that also goes into these corrections which really scares the shit out of people. And you know, a very good example I have that I keep on giving you is what happened in 2017 when I actually panic sold Bitcoin. So I want to show that to you again, because I think it's really important. It's what happened right over here. You know, it wasn't necessarily just that Bitcoin dumped by a lot when this happened. You know, like Bitcoin from high to low, it dumped by let's use the 4-hour time frame again just to make it easy. You know, from high to low, this was the all-time high. We were in a big exponential rally, and then from high to low we ended up dumping by minus 40% inside of 34 days, right? So it wasn't just the fact that Bitcoin nearly halved, but it was the fact that we were consistently trading lower for 40 days. And actually at one point we had some breathing space where the trend actually, oh, this was a terrible line, where the trend actually, you know, stopped moving downwards. We were trading in what's called a descending triangle, which is what we're in again right now. And Bitcoin is actually showing us potentially that, you know, this dump is stopped. And so that this would be the worst of the dump. And this was already pretty scary, right? If we measure this from high to low, within 3 days, Bitcoin crashed by 30%, which is almost exactly what we saw again recently, just, you know, a week or two ago. And so, you know, we thought that, you know, Bitcoin is stable now, it's probably just consolidating and then it's going to move up, but then it breaks down. And crucially, this is happening over the period of a month, where if you are new to the market and you have just invested for the first time, a move like this would scare the shit out of you. And so I think that this is potentially, like, if we look at it from a perspective of maximum pain, because that's what these markets usually give us, maximum pain, what would take us to maximum pain, I think it would be, yeah, dumping below these kind of patterns and then pumping through them again, because this is going to cause a lot of people to sell their holdings. This is going to cause a lot of people to get stopped out. They're going to be taken out of their long positions. It's going to piss a lot of people off. A lot of people are going to lose their money. A lot of liquidity will be found, and that's what these bots aim to do. These liquidity bots, they aim to move into areas of high liquidity and take that liquidity basically. And so it's a very dumbed down version of what actually happens, by the way. I'm not an expert on liquidity hunters, so you should listen to somebody else about that if you're interested. It's really interesting. If you understand that stuff, you can make a lot of money, by the way. So any of you guys who are really technically minded and you can work with algorithms and things like that, if you want to research liquidity bots and things like that, you'll make a lot of money if you do it well. Something to keep an eye on. There you go, right from FORFLIES. But I think that would cause maximum pain. And then again, if we take it to this current market right now, we have the perfect setup to do exactly that. You know, like we end up having a bit of a reaction rally. People feel relief. This is called a relief rally as well. People feel a little bit of relief, and then the market dumps and it just crushes the traders in this space. I think that would make so much sense. A lot of likes on this video. Thank you very much. We're up to 500 likes. That's pretty good for this channel. I'm really happy with that. But if we can go a little bit higher, of course, always appreciate it. And by the way, if you're looking at the numbers, you will have noticed that as the likes go up, the views consistently go up as well. And that's, once again, it's great for you guys as well, because the better this channel does, the more I'll keep on investing and giving you better and better content. I'm sure you've probably noticed little improvements in the content every single day. I'm all about that Kaizen, that 1% improvement every day when I'm doing what I'm doing. Is it wise to invest long now, or should we wait for another dump? Yeah, man, I can't answer that. That's, you know, the thing is, like, I don't believe any question's a bad question, but there's so many different facets. There's so many different approaches that you would require to take in order to answer that question, and that's exactly what this live stream is about. So you'd have to watch the whole thing, and that would give you, you know, something close to an answer. Sam Stan, should I buy Ethereum now? Couldn't say, brother. Fortnite rare, when should we expect another dip? ETA? So I think that we'll probably get another dip if we rise up to this level, and at the current rate of rising, if I just draw a line at the current rate of rising, that puts us like anywhere around here, which is the 23rd of January at 2 a.m. UTC, up to about 8 p.m. UTC on the same day. So basically in the next 24 hours. Is that correct? Yeah, in the next 24 hours, I think would, if we get a dump, it'll probably be pretty soon. And I think that makes sense. It's a weekend. You know, that could be a potentially, oh, look at that. We're getting, look, so we're definitely moving up to that. So it could happen quite quickly, where we move into the areas where we could actually get some really, really big rejections. Your verbal communication skills are off the charts for your age. Thank you very much. Yeah, a lot of people have been pointing that out lately, where I talk really, really well for my age. I actually dropped out of high school, so who would have thought? I failed English, believe it or not, and then I passed it, but I failed it first. I was really, really bad at it in school, but I think it's like I was just kind of raised on YouTube. I was raised watching the internet and stuff like that. I was a very, very weird kid. Leroy, love your analogies and how straight to the point these videos are. Very, very valuable content. Well, thank you very much, Leroy. I'm glad you like them. They're being honed every single day, making it a little bit better every single day. So I'm really, really glad you're picking up on that, and I'm glad you like it. Unrelated question, but are you from Pakistan? Half, yeah, Lahore. Phil, FORFLIES, your opinion is what it is. Speak your mind. That's why we're listening to you, not the others. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, look, it's important, and I try to keep it, you know, obviously bias is important, and I need to be biased in order to commit to good trading ideas, but obviously I try to keep it balanced and things like that, and a big part of it really is about acknowledging ugly truths, and that always makes you unpopular. You know, if I was just being a moon boy all my life, this channel would be like double the size, but you guys would have half the IQ, so... I think I prefer the more cultivated crowd of mature people who are more realistic with themselves. What about Link? Yeah, good question, Abdulaziz. Let's look at Link. Link ended up dumping by quite a bit. Again, it's just this inconsistency, you know, like a lot of the analysis I've been giving you on Link lately has been correct. It's just that it's very inconsistent when it's correct. And so, you know, we end up doing really weird things. And in this case, like, you know, just to put this into perspective, Link dropped below the support level by 15%. But it only lasted how long? We were only below the support level for 13 hours. We dropped below 15%. We recovered all of it, and now we're back nearly at the all-time high. So, you know, it's finding support at the right place, but it's dipping down these support levels, and this just proves it to be such a dangerous asset to trade. You know, like the analysis has been on point, but it's been so dangerous to trade in. By the way, this is another important thing for you guys, especially those of you who are new. You will spot that you have good analysis at certain times, but if you apply that analysis to a risky market like Link, you'll get fucked, because this market, it doesn't matter how good your analysis is, it will overshoot support levels and resistance levels by a lot sometimes, and it will just be an anomaly. You know, like, it's just an anomaly. It's just something that happens very, very briefly, and this is enough to stop you out. This is minus 20%. You know, you would get liquidated on this move if you were trading with anything more than 4 or 5 times leverage. And so I think this is a really important thing to keep in mind, where your analysis could be correct, but if you're trading an inconsistent, unsafe market, you're still going to get fucked. And so, you know, Link ended up finding support of this area. We did have a fake out because it lasted only 12 hours, and now we're back up to the all-time high. So this looks really, really good. But as a trader, this is pretty terrifying to trade because it's just so wildly inconsistent. This is the reason that I usually just trade Bitcoin and Ethereum. I do trade other coins. I trade everything you're seeing here, actually everything you're seeing all the way over here, apart from Forex. I very rarely trade Forex, super, super rare. But I trade everything you're seeing on the screen, plus a few more altcoins like YFI. Where is YFI today? Yeah, it made a little bit of a recovery up to 31, but still pretty low compared to its high as well. Similar price to Bitcoin actually right now, but very, very low supply, so it's nowhere near Bitcoin in terms of market size. But I think that's something really important, where if you have similar opportunities in a safer market like Bitcoin, obviously Bitcoin isn't safe either, but it's safer than Link, obviously, like by almost every metric. That's where I would prefer to trade it. I prefer to put my money in safer places, just because it can really screw you over if you're not trading the right thing at the right time. And Link, it often is quite dangerous. But Abdulaziz, you asked me for analysis, so I'm going to deliver. And what I see about what I see with Link right now is just a typical continuation pattern right after breaching the all-time high. So I think that it might end up trading sideways a little bit longer. To be honest, this is enough. So if Bitcoin actually does recover at this point, if Bitcoin actually, let's say it just kind of trades sideways at this area and then dumps down while it's trading sideways over the next couple of days, for example, if it does end up punching through the ceiling, and like I said, that would be amazing. I'd make a lot of money, so I'm completely on board with that. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love if it did. If that kind of thing did happen, I think that would give Link a very, very good opportunity to rise up by quite a lot. And so that's something I'm looking at right now. If it breaches this all-time high, I think it's probably going to fly pretty high. Although, again, with this inconsistency, that's usually what would happen if you breach the all-time high. But look, right here, Link breached the all-time high by how much? Let's just measure this really quickly. Link breached the all-time high by nearly 3%, so that's quite a lot. Like a 3% breakout is usually enough to make people think, right, this is real, this is legit. But it wasn't legit, and we ended up dumping back down. And so if we do breach the all-time high by, I don't know, anything more than like 5%, I think it's probably going to stick. I think this thing is going to run up to like $30. So I think it's got a lot of potential. There's a lot of hype behind it. It's just so dangerous to trade, so I'm not like, I did trade it a few times. I made some profits. I made some losses. I think I lost more overall. So I'm not really like too keen on this right now. I think it does look good from an analysis point of view. And if I was just an investor and if I was just buying it, I think it would be pretty good right now. But like I'm a leverage trader and I'm looking for more faster money than that, and that's a very, very important thing for me. I see a lot of your messages about VIP, by the way. If you haven't already reached out about VIP, then definitely do that now. We've reduced our prices because Bitcoin is so high. It's actually below the threshold that we mentioned, but we're keeping them reduced because we're probably going to recover up pretty quickly, I think. So if you do want to get in at the lowest prices we've ever offered, then once again, the steps are on screen right now. I'm going to go to your next question here. Once again, by the way, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to this channel. We've been killing it in this market lately, doing very, very well, so you want to make sure you don't miss it. Delilah, thanks for the live stream, FORFLIES. You're so right. It's really important to be aware of what's possible in this market, ups and downs, extremes, etc. Yeah, very, very. Because if you're not aware of them, eventually you will be a slave to them and you will suffer for it. So yeah, I think it's really important. Could a short rejection at these levels create a reverse head and shoulders opportunity? That's a good question. Let's look at that. This is from Raj. Let's use the Bitfinex chart again. Could a short rejection at this level make a reverse head and shoulders? So let me show you what he means, because I don't understand what he means yet, but I'm going to get it in a second. We get rejected over here, we move down, and we would form a reverse head and shoulders. He's talking about an inverse head and shoulders. This would be shoulder 1. No, it wouldn't, Raj. There's no head and shoulders pattern here, unless I'm missing it, but I don't see it. Nope, not that I see. Oh, okay, so you mean kind of like this? Yeah, it could, but that's first it would need to go down, then it would need to bounce back up, then it would need to go down again. So that's too many ifs. You're multiplying probabilities at that point, so it's too early to say, Raj. Maybe I didn't understand you, so if you can clarify that in another comment, that would be good. Love it. You think we're going to bounce off 28k again? Yeah, I think we'll bounce off something like 27. Yeah, I think it's possible. 24 as well. FORFLIES, do you agree with BitBoy Valentine's Day, sorry, 2500 ETH? Yeah, 2500 for ETH is pretty easy, 100%. We're going down in the next 3 to 5 hours, then pump. Massive pump incoming on Monday. Makes sense. I don't like your confidence. That makes me think you're lying, but Actually, I do agree with you. What else have we got here in the comments? I'm going to go through a little bit more of my core analysis in just a minute, but I do want to go through some more of your comments just before I get to that. TMJ, how is life in Dubai? It's bloody amazing, man. And it's sad that it's amazing because I wish London and the UK was still a healthy place to be, but they just want to keep killing themselves in Europe, man. And in Dubai, nah, they're flourishing, so... It's a good place to be right now. We've just hit an hour on this live stream. Thank you guys very much once again. As always, if we can, shoot off those likes, subscribe if you haven't already. If you're new to the channel, it'll help you, it'll help me. Absolutely love it. Already seen, I think, over 100 of you guys subscribing just during this live stream. So we're just charging towards 64k. We might even hit 64,000 subscribers tomorrow, and we hit 63 today. It's crazy. It's like the fastest growth we've ever seen. So thank you all very much. What else have we got? Untamed Flying Fish, good jobs on the subs. There you go. Viewers even recognizing it. Thank you for the live stream. Awesome job, bro. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. What else have we got in the questions today? Do I believe Bitcoin will reach 27k? Yes. Yes, you should probably rewind the live stream. My next Bitcoin trade. So my next trade is probably going to be on Ethereum. These are the two coins I find to be safe, Ethereum and Bitcoin. I trade the other ones, like I said, but these are the two safest ones. Ethereum, I'm more interested in trading because it's more volatile right now. Look, Ethereum is up by 13.3% and Bitcoin is only up by 7.7%. So Ethereum is doing nearly double what Bitcoin is doing. And for that reason, I think if it crashes, if it pumps, it's going to go a lot harder. And that's what I'm interested in trading next. However, my next trade on Bitcoin, look, if Bitcoin is able to rise up to this green box, which is at $38,000, I would open a long position to trade this gap and to trade it up to the all-time high, because I don't think that we're going to get a rejection over here. We didn't establish much resistance. So if we rise above this green box, this is where I'd enter a long position. So I don't have plans to trade Bitcoin right now. My plans are quite far away. I might trade Bitcoin down if we hit these areas of resistance. Look, if we hit it on... I painted the resistance on this chart. I might trade Bitcoin if we fall to 35 and trade it down, but I already have similar plans with Ethereum. So if I'm trading it on Ethereum, I will not trade it on Bitcoin because that's double the risk, and this is already a very risky trade. So I wouldn't do two trades, and I wouldn't trade Bitcoin in this case. So I'm a little bit more fluid and dynamic with how I trade, and those are some of the ideas I have right now. But another key concept that I talked about in the last live stream is how I'm not desperate to trade these things, right? Like I'll only trade something if I feel really, really confident and safe about it. And this looks good, but I think there are better, safer opportunities. I might still do it, but yeah, that's my possible next trade for Bitcoin. I probably wouldn't trade it down. Other than that, I might go short here, but there's no other short position I would take. And then a long position above like 38k, I think would make a lot of sense. I think that would be pretty safe. Shout out to StewTube, triple-digit profits on ETH already. Congratulations. Huge move there. FORFLIES, I appreciate the objective view. So many people encourage retail to buy at 40k, saying how this time is different. Can't imagine how many people got hurt. Yeah, well, I gotta point out, man, I never encourage people to buy, but I was also very bullish at these areas, so I was completely wrong about that. I was very close to opening long positions on Bitcoin as well. So like I was one of the people who still thought we would rise up, but that's just kind of the nature of these markets. The crucial thing is I was also aware of the possibility that we would come down, and that's why I didn't really get hurt on those moves. I just suffered the same loss that everyone else had when Bitcoin lost against the dollar, but other than that, the loss was not magnified by bad trading. So I gotta point out, like, yes, I try and keep a stable head and things like that, and I'm aware of the risks all the time, and I always point them out to you guys as well, so you're aware of them. But I was actually one of the people that thought we would keep rising from this point. I was just open to the idea that we'd probably crash because we needed to. ETH in early stages of a reverse head shoulders setup. Oh, this is Ethereum you're talking about. I'm very sorry. Let's take a look at Ethereum. If Ethereum dumps... yeah, so I mean, you're pointing out the same thing though. So I don't, you know, like I really think it's too early for for Ethereum to form an inverse head and shoulders, because, you know, the next move would need to go down, and then again we would need to come back up, and then we would need to go down again, and then it would be an inverse head and shoulders. So We're only on the first stage right now. It's way too early to call for that, I think, in my opinion. Shout out to Byron, first time investor, starting with $50 in cannabis. Do you mean like the actual plant, or do you mean like a stock? I've never heard of someone investing in weed, unless they were a drug dealer. What are your thoughts on altcoins? I don't like altcoins. I think they're shit. I think they're a waste of time. I don't have any Bitcoin underneath, but I have a ton of altcoins. Oh, I'm sorry to hear. That gained a lot recently. Okay, well, good for you. That's good. Example, bought Link at $10. Should I start selling them? Haven't sold any. Carlo, I'm not the right person to talk about altcoins. Clearly, you can tell I'm very biased against them. They're really, really risky. It's a good thing that you made a lot of money with them, but most of them will fuck you over a lot. More times than they'll actually make you win, and for that reason I'm mainly a Bitcoin Ethereum guy. I actually don't hold any altcoins at all apart from basic functional amounts. So like I don't hold anything willingly as an investment yet. A little bit of Swissborg token, but that's it. Good idea to dollar cost average with 3 times leverage. I think that's a pretty good idea. Yeah, can't tell you what to do, but I like that idea. Yeah, well, 3 times is difficult because what is it like? What is your liquidation? The thing is, like, you're using leverage, right? So you're talking about entering right here with 3 times leverage. You'll get liquidated if we move down by about 30%, which is $23,000. Look, I think it's unlikely that Bitcoin will fall down this low. I think it's unlikely Bitcoin will fall down to 23. But you're probably going to have a stop loss, and I don't know where your stop loss would be, and it's just going to mean your likelihood of losing money on this trade is really high. I wouldn't even, yeah, like 2 times is the most I would use if I was trading this, but even then I just don't think it's I just think it's a very bad time to enter a trade like that right now. That's why I'm not doing it. What entry points are interesting to me on Ethereum, Grant? Good question. However, that is something I will share in VIP only, because I'm probably pretty close to trading Ethereum right now. I've already given them information on what I want to trade, and the deal with VIP, as you guys know, is I'll tell VIP members exactly what I'm trading, when I'm trading it, gonna give them all of the details on exactly what I'm doing, using VIP essentially as my trading journal. So giving them absolutely all the details on what I'm doing, apart from obviously my position size. And so if I do decide to trade Ethereum, VIP members already know what my entry points are, and they're going to keep getting updates on that, because I haven't committed to anything yet. But if I do, I will tell them exactly what's going on. So like I said, it's at its lowest price as it's ever been before. I see a lot of your messages right now. We're absolutely exploding. And so if you want to get in on some of that action and watch me trading in real time, then the steps to join VIP are on screen right now. Click on the first link in the description down below, then click on the @FORFLIES button, and then click on send message to ask me how to join VIP, and I'll give you all the information on that. Can you suggest what it needs in monetary terms to keep this range? I don't know what your question means. Are you asking me how many dollars need to be spent to keep Bitcoin here? I have no idea, man. No idea. That's a question you can only answer by looking at the order books. But order books are very heavily manipulated, so that's very hard to say. You guys love watching Bitcoin on the 1 minute time frame, don't you? A lot of people pointing out how we're pumping up. This is a little pump, you know, like this is like 3%. I don't know why this is exciting so many people. You guys need to get out of the mindset of getting like a little chubby from small price action like this, because this is not healthy. You guys have noticed in this live stream, right? Like, you've watched me. If you've been around since the start of the live stream, I didn't get excited at any point. My heart rate didn't go up at any point. Like, nothing in me is changing watching Bitcoin go up to $33,000. You know, like, this kind of thing shouldn't be happening if you want to be a successful trader. You know, like, you gotta keep it cool. You need to not get excited by things like this. And the way you do that is by spending less time analyzing. Trading, I promise you guys, hand on heart, trading is not one of the things where if you put more time into it, you will make more money. It's not like being a lawyer or an accountant or literally any other profession rather, where the more time you put in, the more money you will make. Trading is almost always the opposite. So like I always say this, if I wasn't a YouTuber, I wouldn't spend nearly as much time analyzing, right? Like, my actual analysis is really, really small. You guys would know, so a lot of you guys, well, not a lot, because there's 1,200 of you, but some of you guys watching this live stream, you probably know me in real life. I know a lot of my real life friends watch these live streams, and you will know when we're together, I never look at the price of Bitcoin. If any of you guys know me in real life, and you are anonymous on YouTube, don't dox yourself because it's dangerous. But if you know me in real life and no one can find you from your YouTube name, drop it in the comments and just confirm what I'm about to say. Where when I'm like in normal life, I'm not analyzing Bitcoin ever, like ever. I'm never looking at it. Like I'm just opening it on my phone to check the price, and then I close it in 2 seconds. You know, like I'm not reading some of these comments here. I'm not like spending time analyzing things like that, and that's partly why I do so well, because I just let the trend move and I just let it fulfill my plans, and that's it, you know. And so I'm spending less time on it, but my plans are predefined, so nothing's ever taking me by surprise, and I'm almost always trying to put myself in a position where I can benefit from these moves, but I'm not really spending too much time worrying about what's going on. And that's probably my biggest strength as a trader. So I think that's really, really important. And the reason I said people about real life, I mentioned that, is if you ever see me in real life, you'll notice that, you know, like a lot of traders, they think that the way they can be successful traders is by sitting there and watching it all day. And it's absolutely not the case. It actually clouds your mind and it clouds your judgment. And I speak so passionately about this because I've obviously suffered those problems too. You know, just to put this into perspective, by the way, my London office, I'm in Dubai right now. This, by the way, is our 3rd ever office. We're international now. It's the first office we ever had outside of London. My London office has 6 monitors in that classic like Wall Street movie setup, right? Like I got 3 monitors up here, 3 monitors down here. Each of them are a different shot on TradingView, right? So it's the classic movie thing. And let me tell you how many times I've sat in front of that computer for more than 5 minutes. Zero times. I never ever sit at that computer and just analyze. What the fuck am I going to analyze? Like the trends are there, you know, like I just got to drop a support resistance line. It takes me like 10 seconds. And then I'm going to wait until we hit those levels. Like there's nothing for me to do. And this is the thing that usually takes people by surprise. VIP members who've come into the office and things like that, you'll know exactly what up. You've seen me. I've told you the same thing, where the only reason I have those 6 monitors is, first of all, it looks cool as hell. Like it's really, really cool. It was a childhood dream of mine. I sometimes play video games on that, and that pleases the kid in me. But also, it's just useful to have a bunch of monitors displaying some price action, which I can see out the corner of my eye, because the London office is really cool. So we have like a massive like 70, I'm a bloody 19-year-old, of course I do. I have like a 75-inch TV in there for Netflix or whatever. And by the way, I see my assistant responding to your messages right now. So if you have already reached out, you're going to get your response right now. Yeah, you guys are all seeing the responses now. And so it's really cool. Like it's an international team. We're doing really well. I'm so happy with it. We're looking to, we did interviews yesterday. We're going to do some more over the next few days to bring the next member of our team on board. So we're growing really, really fast but steady. And I'm really, really excited for it. But that London office, the reason I have those monitors is because I will just spot chart patterns out of the corner of my eye, and then I'll look at it for like 10 seconds, and then I'll decide, right, okay, I got to do like 2-3 minutes of analysis. But broadly speaking, obviously I'm explaining this to you, so it's now an hour and 20 minutes I've been live, but you know, like hour and 15 minutes. But broadly speaking, there's just not a lot to do as an analyst, and that's why there's no opportunity to get excited by these price movements. Got a question here. Why is there no super chat for your live streams? I don't think I've ever enabled it. I could enable it, although to be honest, you know, like I monetize in quite a few ways on this channel. We've got the affiliate links, by the way. If you are looking to find where to trade Bitcoin, we've got links to the exchanges that I use, and that helps the channel, that supports the channel quite a bit, you know. So if you want to do that, then you can join the exchanges I use. And actually for each of these exchanges, it's Phemex, Bybit, PrimeXBT. For each of these exchanges, I also have a tutorial. So if you're interested, Phemex is the main one I use along with Bybit. You can join it by typing this into YouTube, and you can watch my tutorial on it. So if you don't know anything about it, you can watch my tutorial on it and then use the link in the description that we have. And that will support the channel. It will also give you a trading bonus, so you get to play with it. So it's really, really good. These are things that enable us to. Sorry, I think we just had a connection issue there. But as I was saying, these are things that allow us to monetize the channel. It's things like having these referral links. It's things like you know, we've got a little bit of YouTube ad revenue coming in. We've got the VIP model. So what I will say is I just haven't enabled super chats. I'll do it because, you know, some people like using them. But the main deal is, look, if you have a really urgent question and you really want me to see it, we're getting connection issues. Are you guys, is this dropping out for you guys, or is the connection okay? Because it looks to me like I'm getting some connection issues right now. But you know, if you really have a question that you want me to answer, just message me on Telegram, and my assistant will make sure I see it during these live streams. But yeah, that's why you know, I'm not so keen on that. It's fine, we'll turn it on eventually. I just need to find it in the settings. I haven't ever bothered. What else have we got as far as questions go? Shall I switch back to some of my core analysis for this live stream, or do we have any other burning questions for me to go through? How important is the volume level in your analysis, Simon? Good question. Not very important, and I explained why towards the beginning of this live stream. Are you going to go short on the down pattern? Prime, maybe, yes. If I do, I will tell VIPs about it, but it's something I've already considered, and it's something that I've given some information to VIPs about already. DXY graph, yeah, good one to point out, Stace and Rob. Thank you very much. Let's take a look at the DXY, the dollar index. This is a view on what's going on with the dollar. Biden sworn in when? Which is like 2 days ago, right? 1.5 days ago. Biden sworn in here on this small pump, and now the dollar's trending back down. So no surprise, dollar's moving down, Bitcoin's moving up. I do think that Bitcoin will continue to move down. I don't know what influence this will have right now because Bitcoin is in a fearful state. But when Bitcoin is happy, the dollar moving down is very good. Broadly speaking, my opinion hasn't changed on this. I've done long-term analysis on this, and the nature of long-term analysis is that you can't do long-term analysis every day because the long-term picture doesn't change every day. And so I still think it's pretty bad. But there are smarter people than me who talk about this. If only we had crystal balls. If only. The best you've got is VIP. It's not a crystal ball. I'm going to get in trouble for saying that. It's not a crystal ball. Don't join VIP. We're all idiots. Don't do it. You can also buy beer instead of altcoins. Yes, you do. And then you'll be full of estrogen so you can join the vegans. I've definitely pissed a few people off with that one. You're welcome to leave now if you're offended. So what's the consensus? Will it recover soon? I absolutely think so, mate. Yes, I think so. I think that's possible. I see an M pattern in the making, 1-day chart. Can you check, please? Yes, I can. M pattern. M patterns are nice because they're very easy to spot and they're very bad. I'm sorry, it's on the 1 day you said, right? You said 1 day? Yes, you did. Bitcoin USD. Let's take a look at this on this chart. M pattern. Yes, we do. Yeah. Well, we've already formed it. Yeah. So this could get pretty bad pretty quickly. We are bouncing up now. If this were a real M pattern, we would have dumped very low already, but yeah, absolutely. It's just basically a double top formation. Yeah, usually pretty bad. What's wrong in the UK? Oh man, Google it. You know, Google the UK. I don't know. There's a lot. I don't even want to go into it. I don't want to make this about politics. I'm trying to keep it positive and happy. We'll make fun out of Ripple people and we'll get a little bit happier. But broadly, oh, by the way, I'm meeting one of the Ripple guys tomorrow. That's gonna be fun. But yeah, you know, like there's a lot going wrong right there. I don't even want to talk about it. When stock market opens and closes in the UK and US, so do I often see big swings with Bitcoin? No, I don't really watch that. Devesh, love from India. Thank you very much. Can you teach me how to increase my profits and investments? That's a really broad question. I don't know. Go read a book on it or something. Nathan, what's so special about Dubai? I thought it was famous for brutal punishments, misogyny, and terrible worker conditions. Yeah, so is the US. Welcome to reality. Yeah, obviously, look, Dubai has and had issues like that. They're not unique to Dubai. It's just the media that will bullshit you like that. Come, man. It's a safe place. You're not going to get bombed here. Everyone's fucking walking around like normal. Women are walking around without hijabs. They get treated with a lot. Come see it, man. You gotta see it. If I just said brutal punishments, misogyny, terrible worker conditions, I could be talking about any country in the world. I could just as well be talking about the United States of America, and you wouldn't know it. So you need to travel and see it for yourself. GCHQ saying, I hate our country right now. Me too, brother. I keep looking back at it wishing that it's getting better, and it's not. And it's honestly the most heartbreaking thing I've ever seen in my life. Penny Boy, how do I join VIP? Here are the steps on screen. Just follow everything right here. Will Dominguez, you're one of the 3 to 4 guys that I actually pay attention to. Good work. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Will. Once again, guys, if we can shoot up those likes, would love you for it. Doing really, really well. A lot of you guys tuning into these live streams. That's why I keep on doing them. I am going to get going relatively soon, but I want to take some more of your final questions and do a little bit more analysis. Nell is asking me, why am I always in the dark? There's another particular person that always asks me this question. I love being in the dark. This particular person thinks I'm autistic, and she might be right. But I don't like unnatural light. I'm completely fine with natural light if it comes from the sun, but any lights from bulbs, I don't like them. Any unnatural light, it makes me feel uncomfortable. And when I'm in the dark, you get to see the Burj Khalifa behind me. Where is it? Right there, that's the Burj Khalifa. You can't actually see it very well, but it's a cool little view. If I turn the lights on, you wouldn't see anything. I like it. Yeah, I really, really don't like unnatural light. It, I don't know why, it makes me feel very uncomfortable. Do you think Bitcoin will backtest 20k? I fucking hope so. I don't think so, but I hope so. I got wrecked on USDT ETH on Binance futures. Careful, lol. Yeah, man, be careful. If you got wrecked, it means you probably played it too much, didn't have a stop loss was too far away. There's a bunch of things that went wrong. You should never be getting wrecked. I can't remember the last time I got wrecked in these markets, because you have to exercise good risk management. You need to keep your money safe in your trades. This is the thing about trading, right? You can make a lot of money and it's cool, but you can lose it really quickly. I talk about this every single day, and I still don't think I talk about it enough. If you lose money in the game of trading, I've got to blow up my webcam again. You guys have heard me say this a million times, but I'm going to say it again because I think it's so damn important. If you lose money in the game of trading, you get fucked in 2 ways. Number one, you have to make back a loss, which is difficult. You have to actually earn your money back. And we do the standard calculations on this, but let's just give you an easy example. If you're at $100 and you drop down to $50, that's a minus 50% drop. And in order to make your money back, you need to double it. You need to make plus 100%, which is a really big move. That's not easy to get. And that means you need to work twice as hard to recover what you made. If you lose 28%, you need to make back 39% just to break even. So it's really, really easy to lose money, and it's not easy to recover it just with numbers. But then number two, the second big reason that trading like an idiot is going to fuck you harder than you think is because now you're going to feel like shit. Your psychology is going to be thrown off, and you're going to feel terrible, and you're going to have no confidence in trading. And so the next time there actually is going to be a good opportunity for you to trade, and you're not going to take it because you're scared of what happened last time. And now you have a big element in the mix, which is called opportunity cost. That is the cost that you have to pay, which is you missed out on other opportunities in the future now because you didn't have the confidence to capitalize on them because you fucked up on stupid things in the past. So there's a lot of things going on. If you're getting wrecked, if you're getting trapped in bad positions, if there's anything like that going on, there's a lot of red flags already showing up, and we deal with this every day in VIP. This is super standard stuff. The reason I talk about these things with such confidence and such accuracy is because I've suffered these problems too, a lot. So this is super familiar to me. I've had these issues a lot in my trading, and so I know exactly what it's like. I've had to recover them. I've had to put a lot of effort into that. And that's why I talk with such confidence about it, and it's so important to me because when you understand this and you respect the fact that you and seriously understand it to the point where you give up the mentality of using crypto as a bloody lottery ticket, because it's not easy to make gains in that way. If you're just throwing your money into stupid shit and you're just treating it as a lottery ticket, when you give up that mindset, that's where healthy trading begins, and you will never have those problems again. You will never be stressed about trading again. You will never lose too much of your money on one trade again. You will have consistent safe gains. You'll be developing a system. You will define and refine a system, and that's where you're hitting gold. And those are the key things that we aim to talk about inside of the VIP group every single day. That's what you get to see me implementing. inside the VIP group as well every single day. So I think that's really, really important. Bob asking me, am I going to the fight tomorrow night? I'm not going there physically, but I am watching it with some of the bros. I hope my webcam isn't too big now. It should be okay. But those are some really, really important points. And then once again, if you would like the information on VIP, I've just flashed it on screen right now. So click on the first link in the description down below, and then click on the @FORFLIES button, and then click on send message to ask me how to join VIP. Once again, my assistant has just responded to a bunch of you 10 minutes ago, and he's probably going to do his next sweep of messages. Already a bunch more messages have come in. He's probably going to do his next sweep of messages very, very soon. Thank you all for the likes, guys. Thank you all for the new subscriptions as well. All in on XRP and Dodge. You know how to trigger me. Gabrielle, it's cool you admit your losses. Obviously, I make, you know, everyone's gonna lose money. But soothing voice, thank you very much. We tend to hear that a lot. If you guys have been around for a bit, you've probably seen that message, that comment come up a bit. Will Dominguez subscribed. I feel bad, been watching you for a while and never noticed I hadn't subscribed. Yeah, I mean, when you watch a channel a lot, YouTube will keep recommending it to you, but they will never properly recommend it to you until you actually subscribe. So don't feel bad about it, but yeah, thank you for doing it as well. I know that a lot of you guys are probably like that as well. That's why I keep on reminding you. I know it's annoying for the people who already subscribe, but it's a YouTube thing, and the content is free, so it's a small price to pay. Bitcoin 35k is tops for today. I agree with you. I think that would make a lot of sense. I think that would make a lot of sense. What program is this? This app that I'm using to carry out my analysis is called tradingview.com, and there is a link to it in the description. By the way, I mentioned a few times that that link allows you to buy TradingView with Bitcoin. I think they actually just don't allow that anymore, and that's why those, like, there was only 2 or 3 of you who pointed it out, but to answer you, that's why. Okay, the guy who bought cannabis said he was buying cannabis coin. That's interesting. Can we even analyze that? Is that on TradingView? I don't think so. No, there's no cannabis coin. That's funny. Yeah, no, there's no cannabis coin. FORFLIES, what do you think about short opportunities on Ripple? Am I allowed to talk about this? I'm meeting the Ripple guy tomorrow. Maybe he's gonna watch this video and get upset. I wouldn't trade it right now, man. It's just kind of floating sideways. I mean, you know, like a low leverage short right now would probably be pretty cool, but honestly, I don't have an interest. I just don't think it's worth the risk right now. I think it's pretty obvious it's going to dump lower, but I think there are safer opportunities in the market personally. FORFLIES, what leverage do I recommend for beginners? Well, Andre, I don't make recommendations at all. These are things that you need to make up your mind on your own. If you are a beginner though, what I can say is that we've got a lot of content geared exactly to you, especially with our FORFLIES Academy course, which we can give you in conjunction with your VIP membership. So just ask about it and we'll give you the details on that when you reach out following these steps. And we've got a course designed completely for beginners. It's called the FORFLIES Academy. We've got a regular version and an advanced version, and they're both absolutely amazing. And actually they're even more amazing for a reason that I can't admit publicly. I wish I could tell you guys, but I really can't, unfortunately. But we ran a really interesting test, and I can never share the details of the test, but it's really cool for why I was able to see how amazing these courses were based off user feedback. And yeah, they are designed right from the ground up to be for you as a new trader. And actually, the thing about them is I don't teach what I teach in that course in the conventional way. So I'm going to take this off, but these are the steps to get information. I don't teach it in conventional ways. The way I teach the content in the FORFLIES Academy is, you know, like a normal course, we'll do it in a pyramid way, right? It will talk about all the basic stuff, then all the intermediate stuff, then all the advanced stuff, then all the expert stuff. And it would be like in a pyramid shape. the way I teach things inside of that course is like a skyscraper, like a group of skyscrapers, where I will run with one theory from the basics all the way to the top, and then I'll start from the ground level on the next theory all the way to the top, and then the next theory from the ground all the way to the top. And so you're not building on basic knowledge and then intermediate knowledge and then advanced knowledge. No, you're starting on one topic and you're becoming an expert on it and then jumping to the next one. It's an interesting way to learn and teach. So far, the results have been absolutely amazing, and obviously I don't think that will change because it's just a good way to learn. That's exactly how I learned as well, and you get to shortcut a lot of the beginner steps of making mistakes. And through that course you will learn what you're comfortable with, what you feel is safe to use, and you'll just get a feel for it. So if you'd like the information on that, we can send you it, but obviously I can't recommend a leverage number. Lower the better. Less money you play with, the better. And that's why I mentioned using the links in the description where you can sign up to the exchanges I use and get some free money to trade with, because that gives you some free money to click the buttons on the exchange and take some small risks and yeah, kind of see what you're comfortable using. The RSI still overbought? I don't really care, but let's check it out anyway. I never really look at the RSI, as you guys know, but yeah, moving up quite nicely now, sort of getting very, very close to that resistance area. RSI is neutral on the 4-hour, and on the daily, it's neutral as well. Pretty good. Why don't I trade on Bitmex anymore? I do sometimes. I don't talk about Bitmex too much because I'm not so happy with their regulatory issues, but I do still use them sometimes. I just don't really talk about it. It's rare though. I mainly stick to Bybit and Phemex. The exchanges will fuck you all. This is from Randy. Maintenance notice or power outage. Excuses will come. Prepare now. Take profits off exchange to private wallet. You have been warned. That's a very extreme comment, but I agree with you. Exchanges will screw you over, and that's why I always advocate for having multiple accounts. You follow the links in the description. It'll help me out, and you'll also benefit from it with free money to trade with and things like that, which they just give you as a deposit bonus. It's really important to have multiple exchanges and backups because these exchanges are not reliable, broadly speaking. I work with them. They're partnered with this YouTube channel and things like that, and so I'm only supposed to say good things about them. But let's be honest, these exchanges, they do have problems. They do get hacked. Not these exchanges I work with. I don't think they've ever been hacked, but there are issues with them. There is downtime and things like that, and for that reason, you need to have backups. Really, really important. Definitely true, taking profits along the way for safety. Yeah, 100%. Why are all crypto YouTubers in Dubai? No need to pay taxes on crypto profits. There's no taxes on anything in Dubai. It's really cool. Yeah, you only pay 5% VAT, value added tax, basically sales tax, and that's it. FORFLIES, what positions are open? I'm not going to reveal that on YouTube, unfortunately. I'm not hiring people from here. Sometimes I do. If I am looking for somebody and I I want to publicize it to you guys, I will tell you in FORFLIES Gold. But in this position, we're not hiring from the audience. Do the Dubai cops penalize people for modified exhausts? I think so. It depends what you do, but I think so. It's just don't do stupid stuff. Dubai is a future city. If you see Dubai, nothing will amaze you anymore. It's pretty cool. I wouldn't go that far. LA is still my favorite spot in the world. LA is literally my favorite spot in the world. But I agree with you. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm around the corner from where Crypto is staying. Yes, he is. I think. No, I can't see him from here. But yeah, we are pretty close. I mean, we were all living in the same spot. So we've all moved out now. Yeah, Chris had to go to a cheaper room. Let's just see if we have any final questions. Otherwise, I think I'll call it a night today. Do you really think Bitcoin will fall after this huge pump? Yeah, good question. So, I mean, we are getting a big pump right now, but yeah, my analysis is broadly unchanged. This is what I was saying at the start of the live stream, right? So, we're doing exactly what I was anticipating might happen. We got this dead cat bounce, we're potentially moving up to this resistance area. Of course, it's a big pump, but so was this. This was a pretty big pump, and we still got rejected at light resistance. This was light resistance, and Bitcoin got rejected. I didn't see this as heavy resistance at all, but I still mentioned it could be a problem for Bitcoin. And so this is quite heavy resistance compared to what we encountered before, and our pump right now is not as strong as the pump we had before. It's happening in a time of greater weakness, in my opinion. And so, yeah, I absolutely do think that even though this pump looks pretty nice right now, it's happening too quickly. And I think that could mean that, yeah, I mean, I definitely think we'll get rejected here. I think there's a very high possibility of that, probably like 80% possibility of that happening. And then, you know, if we fall down here, it will actually be on, well, do we find support here? If we find support here, then I think we'll probably break this resistance area, but I don't think we will find support here. And then I think we'll probably dip a little bit lower. So good question. I understand what you're talking about. Obviously, we are in a situation right now where Bitcoin has pumped pretty nicely over the past hours, over the past day or so. Actually, the daily candle is really nice. We made a pretty nice move up, but you know, the thing we need to keep in mind is that I think, you know, like, we are in quite a treacherous just path with this trend right now already. Bros before hoes. There we go, Ben, speaking truth. I think we are in a point right now with this trend where it's a pretty, you know, like, it's in a dangerous spot, in my opinion, and for that reason, you know, like, we have strength right now in the very, very short term, but I do think it's a facade, and I think that facade will break down as soon as we start reaching these resistance areas. Block 5 for the interest? I couldn't tell you, mate. I'm actually interested in Swissborg because they take advantage of those type of things, and what? I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, and you get paid for it without actually, like, ever having to do anything, which I think is pretty cool. Just sub, thanks for the info. Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate that. There's Salad Coin. Of course there's Salad Coin. It's a fucking shit show. Everyone's making their own coins these days. How did you come up with the name FORFLIES? What does it mean? This is a story I very rarely tell. It's just a stupid name I made up. Some of you guys probably heard the story of how I came up with this name. I don't want to go into it today, but I made it when I was 14. You know, like, I was really young. Was I 14? Yeah, I think I was 14. Yeah, 14 or 15. I was an idiot. It was a stupid name. It was, yeah, I just kind of stuck with it. I don't like it. I hate the name FORFLIES, and I hate more that people think of me as FORFLIES. That's why if you look at the channel about section, my banner, it says Sammy Loyal. That's my real name. I want people to call me Sammy. I don't like FORFLIES, but I don't want to change it either because now I'm kind of stuck with the name, you know what I mean? FORFLIES broken inverse head and shoulders on the hourly. I don't see this head and shoulders you guys are talking about. I really don't. What is it? Is it this? I don't see the head and shoulders. No, I don't see it. I don't know. I don't see this head and shoulders. You ever see cars drifting on 2 wheels? No, I don't. I see a lot of dickheads driving like idiots here. Especially if you go out of Dubai. My God, I'm allowed to say this, yeah, because I'm half Paki, half Indian. The drivers outside of Dubai, a lot of them are Indian, Pakistani, and they drive fucking terribly. Like, they're terrible drivers, zero standards, and they just come here because it's relatively easy to get. I'm allowed to say this. Don't even call me racist. Like, these are my countries, right? Like, you guys are shit drivers, and so they come here and there's no driving standards there, and they just get an easy pass over here with the driving standard agencies, and they drive terribly outside of Dubai. Like, it's genuinely scary. It's like coming from Britain, right? Like, the UK has, if I'm not mistaken, the lowest death rate in the world when it comes to driving. Like, we have some of the safest driving ever. We allow 17-year-olds to drive. I've got my driving license at 17. You know, like, we allow 17-year-olds to drive. That's how safe it is. America does too, but they're just crazy. They're just idiots. But you know, like, the UK, we're actually really safe with our driving, and so coming here, it's a little bit, you know, it's a little bit crazy for me. Anytime the markets start moving, exchanges start bugging out. Alan, yeah, a lot of the time they do. And again, that's why I think having backups is really, really important. You know, like, it's not something where I think it's a good idea to wait until the problem happens and then, oh fuck, now I gotta do it, you know, because you won't have money ready and you might want to trade and you'll just be unavailable. Like, you just won't be able to. due to poor planning. You know, like money reserves more respect than that, in my opinion, and that's why I think it's really important to have these backups and insulate yourself from those problems. Right, guys, I'm gonna probably wrap it up there. Zoom in on last hours for reverse head and shoulders pattern. Yeah, I see it now. It's 16 in the USA. Yeah, some states even go as low as 14, right? Like South Dakota or something. So, they're stupid, you know. Like, I mean, whatever. If it works for them, it's fine. But the point is, like, the US doesn't have the driving standards to enable young people to do that. You know, like they just do it because I don't know, the laws are weird, but. Like here, it's 18 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it is 18 because I'm 19 and I drive, and it's 18 here. But like the driving standards are pretty bad outside of Dubai. Like you got to be careful. You got to like imagine everyone wants to hit you. Yeah. So this head and shoulders people were talking about. I don't know why you guys told me the 1 hour time frame, because the correct time frame would probably be 15 minutes, but. Let's just look at this really quickly. This was an inverse head and shoulders, and it has worked out now. We have gotten a breakout, so that's what it looked like. Yeah, something a little bit like this, and now the breakout. So, I mean, we've already broken out, so I don't know what I can say about this now. Like, the pattern is completed, so there's nothing left for me to say about this. Probably pump up to like 35, 34K, and then dump a little bit lower. Do I have a course for beginners? Yeah, mate. I was talking about that earlier on in this live stream. So just follow these steps, and I'll give you the information on it. If we can shoot up those likes one final time as well, we'd greatly appreciate that. 15 minutes is correct. Yeah, Raj. So I see it now, and yeah, we already broke out. Yeah, if you guys want any more information on what we do, follow these steps on screen. If we can shoot up those likes one final time, if you're not already subscribed, please do that as well. I'm going to be calling it a night over here. We're 1 hour 45 in. Bridget Jones saying good night. Good night to you guys as well. It is pretty late here in Dubai. And I'll see you all in the next video. Have dinner with Crypto and Carl the Moon there in Dubai. If you do, I'll reimburse you for your first drink next time. Just tell me the cost. Steven, I don't drink too much. I like driving more than I like being intoxicated. So it's actually pretty rare that I drink. Unless I'm in a place like LA. I don't drink there though. I don't drink anywhere. But Santorini I can and places like that. Greece is pretty wild for me, but yeah. I saw an interesting question. I want to answer it really quickly before I go, but I lost it now. How much is a small apartment in Dubai? I get these questions all the time. Guys, if you're actually interested in moving to Dubai, I have a connect for you. It's actually a guy who has an office down the hallway from me. He's really, really good. And I can connect you to him. So if you want the information on that, once again, follow these steps on screen. I'll give you the details to contact him. Dave Middlebrook. I lived in Middlebrook. I lived in Dubai for 2 years in JBR. Loved it. Yeah, it's great. It's a great place to be. JBR is where all the Europeans are, so it's a nice little spot for familiarity. You know, there's pockets in the world where you'll find a lot of Europeans and things like that, and if you're European yourself or even American, you know, like you'll feel pretty at home in far away places, and JBR is one of them. I don't like JBR too much personally. I think it's too much of a tourist trap. Raj, thank you very much for tuning in. Liked and subscribed. Thank you very much, Ricardo. Absolutely love the support. Thank you all for tuning in. I am going to call it a night over here. Thank you, Phil. I will hopefully do another live stream tomorrow. You guys know I love doing it. Your support has been amazing. A lot of new subscribers from this live stream, so welcome if you are new. Welcome if you're not new. Welcome back if you're not new. How would I short this dead cat bounce? I spent the whole live stream talking about that, so probably go back and watch it. I don't want to repeat it because I want to go now, but just rewind the live stream. Where did I grow up? In London. Where can I store my gold in Dubai? That's an interesting one. I'm not a Dubai expert, you know, like I have a little bit of anecdotal experience, but you guys actually need to do your research. I don't know. There's obviously going to be a lot of guys, but I don't know. Right, I'm going to get going. Speaking of the Europeans in Dubai, I've got a Russian waiting for me. So it's time to jump off the live stream. I don't know if people class Russia as Europe. I think it is. And I'll see you all in the next video. If you have enjoyed it, please do the standard stuff. I'll see you all in the next one. Really